over to Adelaide where, well, we saw another record with the Showdown, the biggest ever win in one of these Adelaide derbies. It was the Crows by 98 points. Incredible, really. Riley Thilthorpe continuing his rich vein of form, 3 goals, 19 touches, and a Showdown medal. He was everywhere, the big fella.
Yeah, and he had the 10 score involvements as well. I think pretty dominant display from Adelaide, clearly, being able to get the win, the biggest win that they've ever had in a Showdown, and kept Port Adelaide to their lowest score ever in a Showdown as well. So pretty disappointing if you're a Port Adelaide fan, but you're only celebrating even more if you're an Adelaide Crows fan. Ben Keys kicked the 3 goals for. Tex hit the scoreboard. Soligo had 34 disposals as well, and I think Adelaide are now a real chance at finishing in the top 2. Of the top 9, they have the healthiest percentage by some margin. 146% is what they are currently sitting on. Big clash next Friday night against Hawthorn, but they have top 4, top 2 in their sights.
And Collingwood a little bit later on, another test, but that's at the Adelaide Oval as well. So all things sort of falling their way late potentially. Well, it wasn't as easy as it might have seemed in those highlights because the conditions were against them, against both sides. It was absolutely hosing down at the Adelaide Oval. You know when you can see the rain like that on the TV, but it was incredible conditions, wasn't it?
It was horrible. I think it's time, Xander, we talked about a roof at the Adelaide Oval, considering what other people are talking about in other parts of the country. But yep. I think the thing that surprised me the most, though, out of those conditions that we just saw, they still scored 133 points, the Adelaide Crows, in conditions like we just saw. There's been so much talk about their ability to play 3 key forwards and maybe it won't stack up. Well, when they can still all hit the scoreboard in conditions like that, we touched on Thilthorpe, Tex kicked 3, Fogarty hit the scoreboard, they all had impact. If they're doing it in those conditions, you think they can do it all the way through September as well. A
few divots in that ground, so the microscope might be on the Adelaide Oval turf team instead of the SCG ahead of Friday night footy. On the flip side of things, Port Adelaide, that's a massive loss, a soul-crushing loss, and it's Ken's final Showdown. How disappointed would that be that they couldn't have got it done? And it ends with Ken, I think, 11 and 14 in Showdowns if his career.
Yeah, I think they'd be pretty disappointed as a playing group and as a club, not for anything except for the fact that they would have really loved to send Ken Hinkley out on a better note, if not winning. Obviously, that would have been the first priority, but to go down by a record margin, it's probably something that Ken didn't quite deserve. All credit has to go to Adelaide, but they would have been pretty disappointed with that performance solely for their main man that's been in charge for so long and has done so much for that football club. So I'm disappointed for Ken that he's gone out on that note in Showdowns, and no doubt they will be as well.